This is episode number 61 of the Posters in Every Direction podcast, entitled Labor Day Weekend.
Welcome to Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day weekend, everybody.
See, if you don't know, you don't know, but you should know if you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah, and this is an episode Erica and I have been talking about for a minute, and
life has been lifing.
Life has been lifing. Kids are back in school. We're recording this early Friday morning of Labor Day weekend. For those listeners that may not know, but I think most of you know, Labor Day weekend is the affectionate term for the Dave Matthews Band extended concert weekend at the Gorge in the state of Washington, the town of George Washington, not to be confused with the first president of the U.S. But it's one of those destinations that really is sort of a pilgrimage, I think, for Dave Matthews Band fans.
For sure.
I think music fans really in general. There's a great history of it. I think it's called Enormous.
Yeah, that's a documentary that we recently watched.
Documentary on Amazon Prime. I think we've mentioned that on the podcast before. Mm-hmm. You can go back into our archives. I think it was episode 23. We did our first Gorge recap. We did another Gorge recap later on. It's one of those annual traditions for Erica and I. This year we were supposed to be there. There were sort of, details and plans being sketched out. But as life happens, things change.
Yeah.
You have to adjust. You have to pivot. And so we didn't make it out there this weekend. But we were sending our love, our thoughts, our hopes for awesome set lists and incredible times to all of our good friends out there. Too many to name, but y'all know who you are. And we thought, what better way to say hello to everybody and try to sort of share the experience a little bit than to sit here, sip some coffee. No, we're not in an RV park or in the Oasis campgrounds, but we can sort of live vicarious through the friends, the fam, all the social media postings, the set lists, the excitement that's coming out. I'm just as excited for Labor Day weekend here in North Carolina as if I were there in Washington, and maybe just as tired. I'm not sure, but we're going to have some high energy as we sip some coffee.
It's early, and I figured what better way to have our podcast recording than literally the way that this podcast was birthed. If you guys know, if you're an OG listener, Mike and I had an idea to start this podcast to talk about the posters that we love as we were envisioning what was coming up for this tour that we were going to start going to in 2023. And so with that, we thought, you know what, let's do an OG Mike and Erica having coffee and just shooting the shit and talking about posters, because Labor Day weekend in the poster world is can I use the term the Uber Bowl, or do I have to say the big game? Am I going to get? It's like the
yeah, it is kind of a.
Am I allowed to say that?
It is a big game of postering. That's a really good analogy. Yeah, I think it's an event. We've never been to the Gorge. I have friends that have been there, really close friends, lots of, friends and fam, acquaintances, seen the posts, seen the documentary, listened to all of the shows that Dave's ever played from the Gorge, like the box set over and over and over again. Yeah. Have a lot of posters from the Gorge. It's one of those, I think to a degree, being a poster collector, venues that I want to go to truly are somewhat sort of, echoing to me from posters that I've collected throughout the years because I like the poster, not necessarily I have to get the poster from that venue. So for example, part of the playing card series that we've talked about, done by our friends at Methane Studios, one of the original things that drew me in as a collector. There are 2 posters in that set from the Gorge.
Yes.
I believe it is the
Joker is one of them.
No. The Joker. You're right. Sorry, I was thinking you were again, guys. We're doing this over coffee. You're absolutely right, Erica. The Joker.
I'm gonna hold on a second. Re-record that. You're absolutely right, Erica.
Right. You can make that your ringtone or your alert. And then I think it's the King of Spades as well as from the Gorge. So this just shows, I think, when you look back in retrospect and say that playing card series is probably one of the top grail sets for poster collectors in the DMB community. up there with like the flower instruments.
Yep.
There's a few of them to rattle off. And again, to each their own, collect what you like. But that is, I think, fair to say, one of the more sought after sets. You don't see the sets as a complete set come up quite often.
Yep.
The Ace and the 10, I think, are
two of the hardest
to get
because they're the shortest runs.
The Jack's also a pretty short run. The King and the Joker do pop up from time to time because they were at the Gorge. The Gorge tends to, what I'm kind of building towards here, tends to do a larger
run,
print run. I think for a couple reasons. Number one, that venue holds a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Number two, it's an entire weekend, and so I think the thought being, even if you have leftover posters from night one, you might sell them on night two, you might sell them on night three, and so on and so forth. Gorge holds around 28,000 people. Yeah, that's lot. Probably capacity, 27.5 to be exact, is probably the capacity, which is a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. I mean, we're talking, that's probably one of the largest outside of your like football arenas that you can see shows at. But like as far as an amphitheater goes, it's got to be the largest amphitheater at least in the country.
At least one of.
Yeah.
Right? And you can see that in the print count, the runs of the posters that are done. For instance, we know there's a small indie artist out of the San Francisco area. Not many people know. His name's Chuck Sperry. You may have never heard of him.
You might hear that Mike always predicts Chuck Sperry for pretty much everything.
Spoiler alert, we're going to get there. We're going to do some predictions in this episode. But Chuck Sperry has done a couple at the Gorge. One was called Harmonia.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most prolific Gorge prints that's out there.
Yeah, with the dandelions. We've talked about it before on the podcast. A few years later, they did a sister piece to Harmonia, the Bacchante. I think I've also referred to her as Baccanati.
Yes.
Shout out to our friend Anna who listens to the podcast. I know Anna loves when I say Baccanati. So that one's for you, Anna, wherever you are. I hope you're safe and I hope you're well. But yeah, the Sperry's, right? They're traditionally a lower run print, like overall. Like when Chuck Sperry does a piece, these things sell out very quickly.
Yeah.
His artist drops are done through EQL, which is a lottery system.
Right.
It's very difficult to obtain Chuck Sperry's, generally speaking, right? Not an easy pickup, some harder than others. But in that print run, if you go and you look at Harmonia, I think it was around 1,700 or so, maybe 1,800.
I could go walk and look at it.
We give it a rough estimate here.
Yeah.
Well, it's over coffee, guys. Forgive me on the details and the stats. The next one that they did, the Bacchante, a.k.a. Baccanati, it's a higher print run. It's over 2,000, I think.
Yeah.
And that's just a huge number for a Dave Matthews Band print.
It is.
Right? We talked about the numbering before. You might see that type of numbering at a Grateful Dead or Dead and Company show, maybe even a Pearl Jam show or something like that. But for Dave Matthews Band that typically does the smaller,
usually
your general
15,
size
1,700, and that's a high run.
Right.
Generally.
Right. And I remember back in my day when, prints were 700 and under the run count for Dave.
Yeah.
We're getting a little bit of that from our other favorite band, Goose. They're doing some smaller print runs. Size of the audience, I think it's growing. Their MSG counts were probably a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But, it's not uncommon to see a Goose print limited to 400.
Oh, for a
less.
regular?
Yeah.
And then for, we've got ones that are foils that are 125 maybe.
Yeah, max. Yeah.
And speaking of Goose, Labor Day weekend, Goose is going to be there. And I know you guys are like, why are you guys not there? Well, life, had to make adult decisions.
And I'm gonna be completely transparent with our listeners here. This is a story, so bear with me. But it's true, and I mean, I would swear right hand up and left hand on the Bible. This is absolutely true. Erica and I, we talked about going to the Gorge. We talked about this. We kind of sketched it out. We were running some budget numbers. And all in all, when all is said and done, we've our kids back to school this week. It just became not really a feasible option for us. And being a member of the warehouse, had the opportunity to put in the lottery for the Gorge tickets. And the day that we made the decision that we just can't do this, I mean, believe me, it was heartbreaking. Yeah. I'm still a little heartbroken over it. But we made that decision. And as soon as as soon as I said, I'm not logging into the warehouse and entering my request for tickets, I had a flash, it triggered in my mind, and it was one of those, as you'll do, watch this happen. Goose is going to be there with Dave. Somehow Goose is going to be there. I know how the universe works. I'm passing, and the universe is going to say, shame on you, Mike. And we're putting Goose in with Dave. I was like, sure enough, watch this happen. And then within a couple months, we had news that on Sunday, the third night of Labor Day weekend, our buddies Goose are going to be opening for Dave. And so it's one of those things. It hurts. It really does to not be there for it. But that being said, I am a believer. Erica really convinced me of this, to try to live in a life of abundance and not scarcity. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to be down in our soup. We're not going to be depressed and sad. We're not going to have FOMO. We're going to turn that beat around, turn that frown upside down.
But if you are at the Gorge and you happen to have a nice spot and you want to FaceTime Mike or I for that amazing Goose run, I already have some friends who have told me to put my phone not on Do Not Disturb because we're East Coast. It's going to be late. I get it.
And here's the thing, not to take anything away from Dave and the Dave Matthews Band. It's their weekend. It's their spot. The Gorge sort of belongs to Dave at this point. I'm sorry, but it does.
They are the kings. They are the kings of the Gorge,
and they deserve it. They've done it for so many years, and they're incredible. And incredible things happen. Yeah. Incredible set lists. A few years ago, they did a drone show, which was like fireworks, but it done with drones, like the shape of Roy, the Grutsky, and the fire dancer, and they played number 34. So I'm fully aware that this could be a weekend that I could have picked up 34, or I could have picked up Let You Down, closed some album chasers that I've had. I'm fully aware that Goose is opening for Dave. Also, let's not forget, Bella Fleck is also there. I mean, not to just gloss over Bella Fleck.
And Kaleo, I think, is playing too. These are just some incredible.
But we were fortunate enough to be at MSG, see Bella Fleck come out, play with him on 41, Ants Marching, and then the
Soul Shine event.
The full last stop, right?
Yeah, that was incredible. And, we were there at Soul Shine. We did a recap episode of that back last November, which was incredible. We saw Dave guest with Goose on The Way It Is.
Cover of Bruce Hornsby.
Just incredible. But I know we're not talking about music here. We're talking about posters.
Well, I think it's in every direction, right? As we do. So posters, merch, set lists.
I know.
All of it. Analysis of the band, of records.
It's quite possible that there are people already kind of poised tonight. Right now, it's about 8 a.m. East Coast time. So 5 o'clock in the morning.
Hopefully some of y'all are still partying from last night.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to listen, and if you're going to get in the poster line, you're probably thinking about getting in the poster line soon, because we have not seen anything, and they keep these things pretty close to their chest when it comes to the Gorge. We tend to not see things ahead of time. We tend to see the posters drop on the socials, get a little leaky leak. Maybe an hour or two before the merch booths open. Sometimes we have friends and people we know in our poster collecting community who are so great, and they'll kind of sneak a picture at the merch booth. But generally we don't know.
Yeah. And again, full transparency with y'all, to the listeners. We don't know at this point. We haven't seen things. Saw maybe a hint or two online. Mm-hmm. But we're speculating. We're still in the speculation mode, and it's been a little bit of a head scratcher. It's been a shifting, springing, evolving speculation for me as the week's gone on. Part of that is just again, as we we'll get to our calls here, but I at one point was going to call it James Flames at the Gorge, and now I'm backing off of that because the one that I thought was going to be the Gorge ended up being a Shoreline Amphitheater, I think, or no, not Shoreline,
Tahoe,
Lake Tahoe, Tahoe, which is an incredible piece. Just to recap, 2 shows that DMB did on the West Coast. They did Shoreline Amphitheater in California. The aforementioned one and only Chuck Sperry did an incredible piece for that.
And Mountain
She's
View.
Beautiful. She's the pumpkin spice latte version of a Chuck Sperry. It's perfect for autumn. For all our friends out there that love to decorate for fall, y'all, the ones that are waiting for Han Solo season with vests and boots, the ones that are craving the pumpkin spice latte. This Chuck Berry's for you. That's how I feel. I love it. I'm probably not going to pick it up. I think there's an EQL that's going to go on, or maybe it's already passed. It's one of the things, guys. It's so difficult that I just kind of lost the luster of trying to participate in EQL for everything. And this is one that I honestly looked at. It's like, while I appreciate it, it's one I can let go and leave it out there for somebody who really is like, I need it. Mm-hmm. Like, there are people that they see things. I'm one of those people. And it's like, I need it. This was one that I said, it's beautiful. It's a Chuck Berry. If I had an opportunity, would I pick it up? Probably. Like if I walked into a store, or if it was like, hey, Mike, friends of Chuck Berry, we'll give you this opportunity. Not that that's ever happened. I probably would pick it up. But to go through the process of, number one, I wasn't there. There's lots of secondary market sales. And then the EQL, I'm reserving my energy. I'm reserving my dollars. I'm reserving my...
Well, at this point in time, we as collectors, and we talked about this, like, we become a little bit more... I don't know. What's the word?
Selective?
Selective. Yeah. I got to become a little more selective. Like, the walls and halls are disappearing in our home. Well, and my portfolio is nearly overflowing.
Yeah, and this is not a flex, not a brag, but we are really fortunate, lucky enough to have 3 Chuck Berry's in our collection. Mm-hmm. We do have the Harmonia and the Bacchante as sort of sister pieces that hang in our living room that are, centerpieces. And then we do have the piece from the Greek Theater, which was through the warehouse drop years ago. So
years ago.
I feel like, hey, I have more than I could even really be asking for. Like, so this is one of those pieces that I'm like, I'm going to let her go. I'm not going to chase it. Now, I reserve the right later in life, if there's an opportunity, to revisit that and amend. But
thanks, lawyer Mike.
Right. But right now, we'll let the Shoreline Amphitheater go. Now, moving on in the tour, the boys stopped into Lake Tahoe. It did rain, but JTR was not played.
No.
That's a whole... I know set lists are necessarily bread and butter, but sometimes I like to just sidebar and comment. Like, I saw some really funny memes that were like, that feeling when you've met all criteria for JTR, and yet JTR did not show up. And I was like, that's kind of hilarious. People are like, well, it rained. And I'm like, it did rain. But it's also Dave. Well, and Dave is at this point in his life, guys, where I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like he's like, hey, I know y'all want JTR, but guess what? I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do. And he has earned that right. He's a rock and roll Hall of Fame band.
That's right.
He's a granddad now. His life perspective has shifted. I think this is just a general thought. I'm not going to get political or specific. But I think there's a lot of like, why does Dave do this? Why does Dave say that? Why doesn't Dave say this or that? Or why doesn't Dave play this or that? Or why does he only play this or that? Or maybe we don't like this song, Peace on Earth, but why is he playing it? Well, here's the thing. He just is doing what he wants to do, guys. He's earned that right. And here's the realization I had when we were in Charleston, South Carolina, is that for years, we've come to this space with the Dave Matthews Band, and they play this song, PNP, Pantala Nagapampa. Come and relax now. Put your troubles down, right? And you don't need to bear the weight of your worries here. This is a space for you, for us. And Dave and the band have invited us, not me personally in a written invitation, but I've always felt welcome for the last 30 years following this band to come and relax. And now we're at a place where, Dave maybe needs to put some of his worries down, needs to express himself in a way that shares back with us. And I think we owe it to this band we love, a guy that's given so much to the world in his philanthropic endeavors, in the music community, to the fans. I feel a little bit like, you know what? I need to reciprocate to Dave. I need to say, hey, man, you and I may not see eye to eye on everything. I may not like Peace on Earth as a full song like you guys are creating. It's not my jam, but I'm here to also let you put your troubles down and share your weight. You've shared mine for 30 years. I'm here for you too. And so that's my realization. I'm off my soapbox. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But to Dave and the band, good luck this weekend. Have a wonderful Labor Day weekend. I'm excited to see the set list. I really am. I'm excited to see the guest drop-ins.
Epic.
The Goose opener on Sunday is going to be cool. What's going to be cooler is when Rick guests with Dave on some song.
I know.
Speculation number one, I'm calling my shot.
Lionheart Graves?
Lionheart Graves is my shot for Rick.
To guest.
Mid-Rotunda to guest with Dave Matthews.
Yeah.
Other possibles, obviously 41, it's a jammy space. You could see Rick jamming. I mean,
we've seen John Mayer, guest on a 41. No,
Yep.
I think last year at Soulshine, seeing Derek Trucks play
41 or
with Goose.
Yep.
And now thinking like, oh man, and we've seen Derek do a guest that was a Jacksonville guest that he did in Lionheart Graves, which I also think that was from 23 maybe, something like that.
And I think part of the reason here is I feel like for Dave, one of the easiest songs for him to welcome somebody into guest on for the first time is Lionheart Graves.
Yeah, because there's
a very jammy lead part that Tim does obviously flawlessly.
Yeah, I know.
Where Dave kind of plays his Dave-esque double stop chords up and down the neck, and he can just go on and on with that because it's sort of the circular pattern, and just let the lead guitarist rip. And so it's really musically, structurally a safe space for somebody who's brand new and not lead, before to jump in. So that's my pick. That's why it's a safe pick. I also may have discussed with Rick at one time about how I thought he would shred on Lionheart Graves. And I've seen him talk about Lionheart Graves on another podcast. Shout out to our friends at the Corner of Gray Street podcast and Nolan and Bruce over there. So I think there are indicators that say front runner, if you're a betting person, if you're betting.
Yeah, I could see that.
You're betting the ponies. You're putting your bet down. Lionheart Graves is a safe bet. Now, other, maybe not so traditional bets. And here's a why. There's a lot of clamor, a lot of buzz, if you will, about people wanting to see Bella Fleck guest on Lionheart Graves. So number one, I would say it would not be over the top at the Gorge
to see both
for
of
Dave
them?
To have both Bella and Rick guest on Lionheart Graves. Why? Why, you ask? Well, number one, Dave does things that he wants to do. Number two, Bella Fleck, incredible, but this is a totally different instrument. He plays the banjo. And the banjo will have lead elements and they'll do some lead banjo rolls. Rick plays electric guitar. These two things could work, y'all, together separately, have separate parts, throw the ball around and move the lead pieces, and then let Timmy jump in. And I mean, this could be a big, bold, the Benelli M4 of Lionheart Graves, if you will. That just came to
I'm
me.
going to go like total left field and be like, you know what? I'd love to hear Rick guest on Crush and do a little. Crush is one of my favorite Dave Matthews Band songs.
Sure.
So I kind of am probably a little biased to it, obviously. I think that could be kind of really cool, like to hear Stefan do the opening bass. And then like here instead of your typical horns, have a little Rick guitar riff and build it in that way.
I also wonder, and I also wonder if Rick would only sit in for one, because sometimes the lead guitarist will sit in for more than one. And your call on Crush is actually really interesting. I'm going to get nerdy, but here for my guitar playing nerds out there, Crush is done in a drop D tuning.
Okay.
The other pick that I have as a potential for Richard to guest is a little tune called Bartender that I love. Bartender. It's one of those, few Dave tunes that I play in full. Bartender is also a drop D. What I also know about Bartender is Rick himself has said he has before covered Bartender, I think, like back in the day. And when he and I chatted at one point, we talked about how it is just difficult to cover Dave because Dave sounds like Dave. Right. And it's really hard for any artist to try to cover Dave without sounding like Dave. But then when you try to sound like Dave, you just sound like somebody trying to sound like Dave. And it's not fully, it's difficult. That's the way to say it. It's complex.
And then the beauty of a band doing a cover is that, and I think Goose is one of those bands that is just phenomenal in translating the covers that they do to sound like Goose and have their own unique sound to it. where it doesn't sound like, oh, it's Goose covering Prince or Goose covering David Gray. I mean, it is like, oh, this is a song that is a David Gray song, but it is, please forgive me, holy crap. That's the way that Rick does it and the way that the band treats the music.
That's a really good point, because
shifts it on their own.
The fact that they can cover David Gray
I know.
And make it sound like something, because David Gray has a very unique voice.
Yeah.
And to make it sound like something.
And they've covered more than one David Gray song. Right. So like, to me, I feel like they like David Gray, and it's probably also in a right like tune that, or what's the not the tune, the chords that sound the vocals and the like, key, right? The key. Thank you. Coffee's not kicked in yet. So I think it'd be really, you guys are just in for a treat. And
I think Bartender and Crush would be a really interesting, they're both set up for drop D.
I just think it's something a little different.
Could they run them back to back? Could be.
I'm not saying that you're wrong, but A Lie in Our Graves is very predictable. And the predictability of sets at the Gorge are just, they're not.
That's why I plussed it up a little. I said, what if both Bella and Rick jump in on Line Graves and it becomes this thing?
Something that's a little bit
that's
something
that would be unique. You would never see it again. It would be too hard to coordinate. Now, if I had to pick outside other horses, really Rick can jump in anything. So I'd go through the whole catalog, but 41 is one I think you mentioned that makes a lot of sense.
If I were there, I literally would die.
Right.
I would die and go to heaven if it was number 41, which is my favorite song. Y'all know I got a tattoo. Love it. It's the song that if I had to pick one and never listen to another Dave Matthews Band song ever again, it would be 41 without question, unequivocal.
Finally, I would say Ants Marching is one that's probably high up on my list as a possibility. Again, the musical structure of the song, the way the band plays it, the way they throw I think of it as like throwing the ball around, like, hey, Timmy, now it's your turn. Yeah. Hey, Carter, you take it. Hey, Buddy, you take it. Hey, Ricky, you take it. And it lends itself structurally to that for somebody to kind of jump in and play on that. We've seen a lot of different guests on Ants. Obviously, there's always a desire to see somebody with a fiddle. But it would be, again, another unique, hey, sorry, we don't have a fiddle for y'all. But we just have this probably one of the top lead guitarists in the world right now, in all of history right now, Rick Minarotunda from Goose. And he's going to play lead on Ants Marching.
It'd be pretty awesome.
I will be happy with anything. I am totally heartbroken to miss it, but living in abundance. Cheers to our friends who are there. Cheers. Y'all are going to have a great experience. And I know there will be video, there will be YouTube. We'll catch it in some extent. And then can't wait to catch up with Rick again down the road and just be like, man, that was awesome. Would have loved to have made it, but we did catch the replay on the YouTube.
Kudos to everybody who gets the experience. To go. We have a lot of friends who are first timers also out in the Gorge.
Yep.
Super excited for them. And here's the thing. You're in for a treat musically. You're also in for a treat aesthetically. Your eyeballs are going to be popping out of your brain.
Heaven's Amphitheater.
As far as we know, the views are incredible. But where I was kind of going with this is the prints and the posters.
Yes.
And the ink that you're about to see. And traditionally, I was thinking about this. They've been playing at the Gorge for how many years now?
First show was probably 96, 95. Again, coffee guys, we didn't do our homework. We don't have the stat, but we can look it up. But they've been, I think I saw something, they've done over 50 shows at the Gorge?
They played, actually, their first show was at the Horde Festival.
94.
In 1994.
I wasn't too far off.
No.
But, so that would have been...
Here, the first
I believe there's a video out there floating around where Dave plays a really early version of Crash. And I think John Popper jumps in while they're playing Crash. And I think perhaps that took place at the Gorge at that time.
Okay.
Again, special things happen at the Gorge. You're in a remote place, beautiful scenery, incredible set lists, guests, a weekend. It's a camping weekend for those that don't know. So most of the folks that attend are also camping out on site. Mm-hmm. So there's a real community feel, I understand.
Yep.
It sounds a little bit to me like an episode of Survivor because, hey, if it's hot, man, it would be difficult for me. But I do hear it's more of a dry heat. But that being said, to be drinking wine all day or whatnot and then go to a concert and then sleep in a tent and then wake up the next day. I mean, I can already feel my body hurting a little bit just thinking about it. That being said, it's a price I would gladly pay to experience it. But yes, the posters. Getting back to the posters, because we are on tangents.
Yes.
These are typically marquee level posters.
Absolutely.
And that's not shade at anybody that's, creating a poster for random city that I'm not going to name, whatever city it might be. It's just that I think,
like I said,
Dave's management. This is
the big game of the year generally this is the last shows in the summer tour for Dave Matthews Band. You have a 3-night run.
We've seen in the past Methane Studios, NC Winters,
Chuck Sperry, Jim Mazza, Luke Kwok, Martin, Miles Sang, Ben Kwok. Like, we have seen
looking at the Miles Sang right now.
Spoosta. We got a Welker last year. Like, these are like big name poster artists.
Right.
They're your household names generally. And usually, you've got a weekend poster, you have a triptych, you have nightlies. I mean, this is a shit ton of paper.
Labor Day.
If you're a collector, you potentially, if you are a collector of gotta have them all, if you're of the Pokemon mindset.
That's how I would be if I was there.
Yes. You generally could expect somewhere between 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 prints.
Plus foil variants. Other colorway variants, maybe.
I didn't even think about regular and foil. So then, let's just say 6, double that. Yeah. 12.
Yeah. And then you're going to have other incredible merch opportunities, right? Weekend commemorative shirts. We've seen Dave's management make a shift lately to comfort colors.
Yeah.
Shout out to our buddy Roxwell, Aaron Von Fretter. We've reviewed that shirt for the 2025 tour. That is incredible. I picked up the Weekender down in Charleston. That was a comfort colors. I would expect there to be a Gorge theme t-shirt that is on comfort separate, colors. So something special for y'all there. There's also probably going to be an enamel pin to commemorate the weekend. Those are few and far between this tour, I think, but I would expect one at the Gorge.
Yeah.
There are the ladies' bangle bracelets that are here and there. Haven't seen a lot of those lately.
Haven't seen one of those in a long time.
Wouldn't be surprised to see one of those pop up for the Gorge this year. And then who knows what other surprises they might have up their sleeve. I think that,
I maybe think there's a pennant, because that's new. We've started seeing the kind of the felt, they call them felt pennants. Banners, maybe, so to speak.
Now, what I'm interested in, sidebar question on the merch scene, on the poster scene, I don't know if we've seen before, taking a deep dive to look, will Goose have their, because Goose's merch game is on point. Does Goose have an opportunity? They may or may not. But a lot of times openers have a little slice of the merch stand.
I'm not really sure I've ever seen that with Dave Matthews Band. Have you?
I can't recall it would be years back when Dave had true openers everywhere. Again, we've never been to the Gorge, so haven't seen openers recently. But I can recall, I think in Mexico, there was sort of like a Jason Isbell sort of something at the merch.
That was the first year that they added that like
Thursday night
show with an opener that was just the opener. So that was the first time we've ever seen anything like that. But
fair point. That being said, there is a story, if you will, of Dave riding out on a golf cart at the Gorge when Brandi Carlile was like a last minute opener.
Yeah.
And he rolled up to the merch stand and bought her CD.
I know.
So this is specific to the Gorge. It's a story I've heard Brandi Carlile tell.
Yep.
And just think about the mind-blowingness that is that, guys. When there's this little, quote, unknown artist, Brandi Carlile, at the Gorge on a B stage opening.
Oh, yeah.
And Dave rolls out on a damn golf cart.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, I like the sound of that voice. Hey, I'm going to buy your CD. Buys it, gets in his golf cart, waves, and then takes off. And Brandi Carlile, I think, is like, her mind was blown when this happened.
So for a birthday gift a couple years ago, I love Brandi Carlile. She's one of my favorite artists, have been delightfully lucky to see her in concert. Mike and I got to see her solo here in Raleigh at a place called Deepak. But my daughter and I got to go see her at Merriweather. Kind of during COVID times, which was really interesting. Anyways, Mike knows I love Brandi Carlile. For a gift, she came out with a book a couple years ago, and memoir. It's called Broken Horses, and it's a phenomenal. It's just a wonderful story. You want to talk about like just amazing sort of like kismet of life. She talks about this moment with Dave Matthews Band and Dave specifically, how, again, she was not supposed to be playing. There was an opener that got sick and she was in Seattle and somebody from one of her management teams knew someone from his, and then like she literally like got in a van with her guitars and her band and just drove to the Gorge.
Yep.
And same that story with Dave rolling up. And then, you know, later we see her guest on Spoon.
Oh yeah.
And we see her guest with Dave on Come Tomorrow.
On the record.
Like, it gives me chills. But anyways, I digress because Mike got me a book that was signed by Brandi Carlile as a gift, and it's one of my prized possessions. So
yes. A merch item, if you will.
A merch item, if you will.
But yeah, I think, you know, that's just a sort of example of where maybe there are opportunities for some of the openers to also have some type of merch presence. So this is a question mark of, will Goose have a t-shirt? Will Goose have a poster? To be determined.
TBD.
And they might just have a spot and be able to sell their regular non-show type affiliated stuff. But again, interesting question. Time will tell. You want to talk about what we think maybe some Dave posters might look like this weekend?
I mean, I've got a few ideas in my brain, and one of them is probably, you and I probably align on this because we did see a little bit of a sneaky peek.
Yeah, let's jump in there.
The first one that we saw a couple weeks ago was by one of our favorite artists. Actually, behind us, you see two of his prints recently, of our amazing, incredible artist
and friend of the podcast,
Todd Slater.
Shout out to Todd.
We saw what looks to be a wild horse.
Yeah.
With a starry night, a Van Gogh-esque. And what's been really cool, and one of them is actually right behind us, the Noblesville, the Slater from Noblesville. Y'all have heard I have a background in art history, and Slater's been kind of playing with these really classic styles. Gustav Klimt comes to mind with this particular one. He also with the one from Noblesville, but the Starry Night, the Van Gogh Starry Night. If you go to Todd Slater, Chuck Sperry, Todd Slater. If you go to Todd's Instagram, it may still be there. I don't know, but he did a little sneak peek, and it's got these really beautiful swirls that are.
It looks very Starry
Night-ish, which is so cool because you take something that is brand new. Right, Todd's own designs.
Yeah, and he made this post on August 5th and said, you know, sneak peek, and it's a wild horse kind of looking. So, you know, with like maybe a mother horse and a child horse, and I don't know the mama and the kids, but this is a little reminiscent to other themes that Todd has done with. He did a collab with Ben Kwok. They did it was half Slater, half Kwok for Fiddler's Green last year in the 24 tour. And there was sort of a mama bear and baby bear and a mama wolf and a baby wolf, mama horse and baby horse. I think, yeah, absolutely. We're going to see this. The question I have is this a standalone piece?
Or is it a weekender?
Is it a weekender?
Because we have seen...
Or is it a part of a triptych?
That would be insanely insane.
I mean...
Like, insane. Have we seen a triptych from Slater?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
We've seen diptychs, too.
Right, but there's 3 nights at the Gorge, right? And so it lends itself to a triptych for the weekend, number one.
So insane.
Number 2, while Todd says sneak peek, what I would say is, this is quite a sizable image for a peak. This is almost like, well, if this is just the print, if it's a horse maybe with the Gorge, I mean, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
You know, a one-nighter or a weekender. But it could be one of the panels of a 3-panel set done by Todd Slater for the Gorge to be a triptych. If that is the case, I'm going to say be on your lookout, friends who are at the Gorge. This will be a difficult piece to obtain all 3 of. Yeah. You'll want to be there early and often. You want to be doing what you can do to get a hold of it, because wow, would that be stunning? And if you have a wall available in your home to have something professionally framed, if it is a Todd Slater triptych that makes up a Starry Night thing with the Gorge and wild horses, I mean, I don't want to say that I would consider rotating out the Sperry's, but I might consider a rotation, a seasonal rotation to give, or clearing another wall in the house to display it, because wow. And I would also say, whether it's a single piece, whether it's a weekender, whether it's a triptych, this is probably going to be something I go after.
Yeah.
Like Todd's work to me is incredible. It really resonates with me. Behind us, you can see I was fortunate enough to pick up the foil version of the Chicago Weekender, which is reminiscent of the 90s Chicago Bulls, the AP edition, and I'm super happy with it. Todd's, I think we're going to see this image on a Dave Matthews Band poster for this weekend.
It's a nightly, a triptych would be banger.
Again, I can't predict the future fully, whether it's a nightly, whether it's a weekend, whether it's part of a triptych, TBD. But I'd say we have a 98% chance of seeing this at the Gorge.
I would agree with that. The other artist that we have not seen, I don't think this year, is one of our other favorites and friend of the podcast, Dan Mumford.
Dan Mumford.
We haven't really seen. I don't think we've seen a Mumford.
He did one in.
He did
New Jersey.
That's right. He did
Camden.
a Mumford in Camden, but we haven't seen another triptych Mumford. He did a Gorge triptych. I always would love to see a Dan Mumford. His work is just insane.
Well, and it would be an interesting opportunity for him to do a nightly at the Gorge that somehow maybe ties back to the triptych that he did before.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool.
To say that, well, that would be maybe overdone, I would counter that with, if you look at the piece that Dan recently did for Camden, and you sort of compare that with a piece that he did last fall for MSG, New York City, and you take both of those and then you bring in the Gray Street song series that he's done, I think Dan and his artistry, and we have actually been fortunate enough to have Dan on the podcast. You can go back and listen to that episode as well. Dan, like myself, he's a comic book guy. He likes world building in his storytelling and the art that he creates. And so I think it's a ripe opportunity to expand on that world that he did build in that Gorge triptych from years ago. I want to say that was probably back in 19.
Yeah.
It was a while ago when Dan did his triptych for the Gorge. That's a heavily sought after set. You don't see that come up every day.
Right.
And it was an incredible piece. Again, Dan's work is a little bit sometimes that sort of, apocalyptic view. And it's like, well, the Gorge, the stage deteriorating and things, but it's interesting and it's very cinematic the way it was presented.
Yeah. The other artist that did a little sneak peek, and again, we've seen his work for Dave recently, is Rayleigh Bass. And he did a sneak peek of kind of a woman's half head, and her from the nose up is flowers. And I thought, whoa, that could be pretty banger. Now, he did the triptych, I believe, for last year at the Gorge. And that was pretty epic, of this, waterfalls and like carved into the rocks was the fire dancer, and there was a fire dancer tree in one of the other ones. So I mean, I could definitely see a Rayleigh Bass. Part of me is like, I want to see someone we've never seen before.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. I think there's an opportunity there for like a Jim Pollock at the Gorge. I'm not saying that's happening, but I can totally see it happening. It's it's one of those artists, like when you said there was a Spoosta, was it last year?
Yeah, last year.
That's when you don't really see Dave Matthews Band frequent with a Spoosta poster.
No, not at
somebody
all.
that's done a lot for Fish and the Dead and Goose. This is where I would say Jim Pollock would fit in very well, as like somebody that you would not just see in a random pop up in, Raleigh, Walnut Creek. Oh, it's a Jim Pollock. That would be unusual. I mean, if they played Pittsburgh, that might make some sense. But a big, like the big game, Labor Day weekend, for a Jim Pollock to show up, I think it's totally on the table.
It could be very, very incredible.
Likelihood, probably less than 50%. But I like to imagine that it's a possibility.
It is. We also have, behind my head, is also one of Mike and I's favorite artists, is Owen Murphy from One Drop Design Studios. I know he just did the Alpharetta, but we have seen multiple artists do multiple posters in a season or in a tour.
To catch a couple on a tour, and it's a big stage.
Yeah,
it's a Labor Day weekend again. To keep shouting that out, and Owen Murphy is, I would say, one of the probably biggest names in posters right now, particularly for DMB. Like Owen's work sells out very quickly for Dave, and they are become sought after pieces. Again, we're fortunate enough to have a few. Again, the Alpharetta from this year that Erica mentioned, the Dream Girl, which was his first piece from Merriweather up in Columbia, Maryland, and then the piece that he did over in Ireland for Dave. So if you have somebody that comes in, their entry point is sort of their own backyard. They do very well. Yeah. You put them on the Europe tour, that poster from Ireland blew up. People went gaga for it.
Yeah.
Now another sellout, Alpharetta. Like, it makes a lot of sense that we might see an Owen Murphy this weekend.
Other pick, and I love her work, is Xi'an. Xi'an comes out of the F40 Studios collab over there, and her work is just really spectacular. We saw her do one back in 23 at Riverbend. She also has one of those prolific ones of Dave and Tim from Canandaigua, which is like the person in the river reading the book.
Yep.
And then we are lucky enough to have her piece. She did Raleigh 24, right? Yeah, last year's Raleigh. And it was this like epic staircase with this crane and a fire dancer. There's little fire dancers on this wallpaper. It was like an old Southern, kind of mansion building that this like beautiful woman's walking up the staircase. And that's one of my favorite pieces that we got, that show edition at the show. We were in the pit. It was incredible. So I'd love to see a Xi'an. I would also love to see a Roxwell. We talked about Roxwell, not just from, I would love if he designed something specifically logoed t-shirt, a new, Roxwell logo, Dave Matthews Band t-shirt for the Gorge. But also would love to see one of his like card looking we talked about the playing card series with him, to see something on a really cool different color piece of paper with gold pops of foil. Like, I could totally see something that is not on the nose the Gorge, because a lot of times the Gorge posters are very specific to the venue, which I love.
Yes.
But I also would love to just see the flip of a script.
A little something.
And something totally left field.
That is less venue specific, but then just puts the name on it. Right? Like that card design that he did up at Mohican, or that would be really cool. That's a neat idea. And we've seen this before, right? Not every Gorge poster has to be a full tribute to the venue and the majestic views and things like that. I
mean, it tends to be like, we're literally sitting here in our room of Sang, looking at the Dave Matthews Band Miles Sang from the Gorge. And I mean, it's this epic dragon, but the background is the Gorge,
right?
With the river cutting through it. I mean, so, and that's one of my favorites.
Yeah. And I mean, it's, Pacific Northwest, there's probably a lot to draw on, but to your point, I mean, it could be something more obscure, something that is not as you said, on the nose, right? And that would be really interesting. Well, I think we talked about Slater as being, I think both of us picked that. That's sort of the obvious. I had James Flames in there because I felt like it was but then he delivered in Tahoe, so I think that knocks James out of the box probably for the Gorge. So if I had
Chuck Sperry, same thing, going up at Shoreline Amphitheater.
So I'm going to go the other way. You
think it's like a back-to-back Sperry?
I believe the Shoreline Amphitheater Sperry is a red herring throwing us off the trail. And we are going to get a Chuck Sperry at the Gorge this weekend. I believe it will be the third piece to complete Harmonia, Bacchante, Peace, Love, and Rock and Roll. That's my call. That's the hot take. I know it's against the grain. I know you're saying, Mike, you're insane. There's no way we're going to get two Sperry's almost back to back, both West Coast. And that's why I think it'll happen, because
we're so far off the trail.
Set the norms aside, and Dave's doing whatever he wants, and the poster game should do whatever they want. So I think the Sunday surprise, maybe it's a Saturday surprise, I don't know, is going to be a Chuck Sperry that completes the Harmonia, Bacchante, and whatever her name will be to complete Peace,
Love,
Rock and Roll. This would be the Love. Yeah. The Love poster, because we have Peace, that's Harmonia.
Yep.
We have sort of a Rock and Roll, that's Bacchante, Baccanati, if you will. and we're going to have something with, I imagine like the Taylor Swift heart.
I'm so glad that
like
you did it that way,
like
and not the way that the kids do it with the other.
I don't know. Maybe there is some other way that I don't know about, but I think it's peace, love, and rock and roll.
Right.
Number one, I think that's been part of the plan all along. Number two, I think the world could use more love right now.
Mm-hmm.
Number three, this might be the last opportunity for a minute for DMB at the Gorge, to align with Sperry, the full band. It might change after this. Who knows? And so I think this is the moment.
This is the moment.
I fully expect the third Chuck Sperry in that series.
That's a pretty big.
And then I gave you guys my other one, just my if I'm going to just say, who would I pick out of never been at the Gorge before? I'm going to pick Jim Pollock just for fun, because I think I try to manifest that into the universe. And I think, to your point of not on the nose, like in my mind, I'm like, what would Jim Pollock do? What would it look like? Right? Like what would it look like at the Gorge?
Yeah.
And then, so that's Slater, Sperry, Pollock. I mean, you want to talk about a Super Bowl poster, guys. I like Erica's pick a lot of Owen Murphy showing up. That's one that it kind of noodled on. But I'm also going to throw out our good friends at Methane Studios. I feel like Methane's classic.
They are the OG.
They're the OG. Yep. It's been maybe a little quiet this tour for Methane. And I feel like either in a weekend print or maybe a Friday night print.
Well, last year they had the weekend print at the Gorge too. Yeah. Was that cool? Like almost like nautical chart.
And they've done a lot of Gorge over the years, but also this is a full circle kind of moment. This is the band in 25. It's been 30 years of touring the Gorge.
Yeah, I could see that.
It would be apropos.
All right. So those are Mike's picks. I'm going to agree with you on the Slater. We're definitely, I mean, I'm like 99% certain that there's going to be the Todd Slater at the Gorge, whether it be a nightly or the weekend print, maybe. I'm also going to reiterate, I'd love to see Shion. I think that her work would be really phenomenal.
I think it would be great too.
Great too. Yep. The other, and I know I mentioned Owen Murphy, which I think would be incredible. The other artist we have not seen for a hot minute, and I think would just banger, Dave Klock.
Yeah, I had Dave Klock on my short list as this would be a surprise and show up. And I also think, especially, he's done just some really, I mean, you see it and you know what it is, so it's, it jumps out at you, his style. And I think that would be a lot of fun as well.
It could be. And then my other one that I was thinking of that we haven't seen in a hot minute, that I'm thinking more along the lines of like, who artistically could really do something that is unique and out of the box, is Ken Taylor.
Oh yeah.
And Ken Taylor art, if he's done a number of Dave Matthews Band pieces. He's done some for the band Goose as well. But I think Ken Taylor really could do something incredibly epic, unique, and different. I think that from a perspective, I think a Dave Klock trip would be incredible. I'm going to go with a weekend Todd Slater.
Okay.
I'm going to go with a nightly Shion and a nightly Owen. So
strong picks.
Yeah. So
I mean, you've boggled my mind to a degree, and like I'm like I think I maybe like your picks better and more likely than mine. I mean, I'm clearly trying to will Jim Pollock into existence with DMB.
I love that. I mean, look, Pittsburgh guy picking a Pittsburgh artist who has been so prolific in the Fish.
Yep.
And Goose is done for Goose as well. But like, really, like, I mean, if you want to say one of, if not the most prolific artist for the band Fish,
right,
Jim Pollock really is the standout for me.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love that idea. I think it would be really different. And
I fully recognize that the Chuck Sperry is against the grain and a long shot, but it would not be a Mike prediction episode if I wasn't trying to predict Chuck Sperry.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put up a little Mike versus Erica.
I don't want it to be a competition.
It's not a competition.
I just
think it'd be really fun to go back, because they're going to drop the posters within the next couple hours, at least for tonight.
That's true.
We'll definitely see the Friday night and probably the Weekender and probably night one of the Triptych.
I think that's
so. Right. Get ready
Get ready. And again, you all are on Pacific time. We're approaching
9 a.m.
here, East Coast. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Let me first say thank you for listening, as always, and rolling with us on this journey. We know life's been lifing. We haven't been as constant with our contact here at the drops, but we're going to continue bringing you guys content here at Posters in Every Direction. If you like what you're hearing, give us a like, give us a follow, share with your friends. That's the best way to help the podcast.
Absolutely.
We also want to let you know a bit of housekeeping, that if you didn't know, Erica and I are also co-hosts of another podcast called
Best of the Tour.
Best of the Tour. So that was doing well, and we are having fun interviewing some artists, working with our good friend Monk One, Invisible Industries, Color Haiku. So check out Best of the Tour as well, wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever that may be. You can follow socials at Best of the Tour as well.
Yep.
Follow socials at Posters in Every Direction.
And go check out our YouTube channel, because this is going to be one of those episodes on the YouTube.
We're on the tubes. We're trying to figure out the video to bring you guys more video content from Posters in Every Direction. This is an evolving process. It will get better, but for right now, here we are on one screen. And let us know what you think. Would you like to see us, or do we, I mean, I know you want to see Erica, but I know I have a face for radio, so bear with us and look at the art.
Look at the art. Thank you all so much. Episode 61
in the books,
and we'll catch you on the fall tour soon, guys.
Later.